Okay, welcome back. Or welcome if it's your first time seeing one of my videos. So this series is looking at what each class brings to a raid in TBC. So what do they, what buffs do they bring, what debuffs do they bring, what abilities have they got that are useful maybe for specific boss fights or all of them maybe. We've looked at quite a few classes. I'll put that on screen now actually, so they're just the thumbnails, what you can find on YouTube of the other classes that we've looked at, but they're also on the playlist. I'll put it in the description if you want to go and have a look. That's all good. If you don't follow me on Twitch, come watch me live stream. I'm live streaming pretty much every night. WoW, Rainbow Six Siege, even a bit of Nintendo Switch with the kids now and again. There's a bit of variety on there, but stop by, say hello. Growing over there as I'm growing on YouTube, so thanks for all your support everywhere. And for those of you who do watch me on YouTube already or over on Twitch, you know that I'm always playing with a deck of cards. So I'd like to take a couple of minutes just to show you the power of a Warlock with a deck of cards. Okay, so one for the Warlocks. So this should be a bit of fun. So I'm going to try and replicate the obviously very iconic Warlock ability of being able to summon people. So we've got our clickers here. So I just took out the two red aces because I like the red aces. There's nothing special about them, but they're just going to act. I'll leave them there the whole time so you can see them. They're just going to act as the clickers, basically, the two people in the party that are going to click the portal to summon whatever we decide we want to summon. So I'm just going to, I'll just cut the pack a few times or whatever, just give them a shuffle, just so you know that I'm not going to be picking a specific card out or anything like that. It is completely random. So all I'll do is I'll just put my thumb down the side and I'll just stop and just take any random card out of the middle. We'll go with that one. Again, doesn't matter. So Queen of Spades. So Queen of Spades will be our, I don't know, let's say we're summoning a Druid. So I'll just write Druid on it. Let's be more specific and say Feral. So Feral Druid is being summoned. Probably me. I normally wait for summons. Okay, so all we're going to do then is just lose the Feral Druid back into the middle of the deck. Okay, that's it. Gone. So now, because what we're going to do is we're going to try and summon it now making an actual portal. Don't get me wrong, not sure how it's going to go, but we take our two red aces, and we're going to put the deck down. So, the Druid stays in the deck, and then I'm going to try and make a circle. And what I mean by circle, you can see I'm bending the cards. So I'm trying to bend the cards to then put the two together, and create what looks like sort of a bit of a circle. So you would expect something to come out of it possibly. So we'll say that the Warlock's summoning now. Make sure you can see both those aces still. So the Warlock's summoning, he's summoning, and then boom, one thing comes through that portal. And in my hand, which was none other than our Feral Druid. Wowzers. Well, Warlocks, aren't you probably just sat there smiling in your pants at the screen, knowing how overpowered you're going to be in TBC, both for DPS, PvP, utility, just everything. Yeah, you really are going to be that good. Godlike, some might say. So, just to give you a little brief sort of look at how we're going to be talking about these abilities. I'm looking at what you bring to a raid, but what you bring, not everything you bring. I'm not going to sit here and list all your abilities. I've picked out the ones that I personally think are, worth mentioning, worth talking about. When we done the rogue, I pretty much spoke about everything a rogue brings because they bring that little. It still only took 5 minutes. But for you guys, there's loads. You've got loads of abilities. I'm having to leave some of them out because some of them are just not overly useful, even though they are unique. So we're going to start with a few curses first. So if we look at Curse of Recklessness. So curses the target with Recklessness, increasing melee attack power by 135, but reducing armor by 800. That's massive. If you've got enough Warlocks in the group to literally get out every curse, you're in an ideal raid, because 800 armor reduction for your melee, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Then we've got Curse of Elements, obviously a given. So 10%, they take 10% more spell damage, basically. All right, maybe not nature, no, not nature, but everything else. Lovely. We'll get into, if you're Affliction, you actually get an extra 3% on this, so you get improved Curse of Elements. But, what a buff for all the spellcasters. That's worth bringing a Warlock for on its own. Nothing else. Then fear. So I've put in some CC, just general utility things you can use. So fear is obviously very useful. Maybe not so useful in 25 mans. It still finds its use, but particularly in 10 man, in heroics, even there's a lot of use for fear, and you will use it. There's even boss encounters where you're basically one of your jobs will be keeping a mob feared. I mean, specifically, I'm thinking of Wizard of Oz in the Opera event in Karazhan. So again, you bring something that is useful. It may not be unique in the fact that a priest can fear, a warrior can fear, but you can continuously fear without ever letting it break. There's a big difference. Banish as well. So lots of demons in TBC, obviously. So a very, very useful CC for lots and lots and lots of fights. Literally loads. Yeah, I don't even want to say a number and it'd be wrong, but a lot of fights. Some examples would be you can banish the ads on Aran in Karazhan, but there's boss fights in heroics and stuff where you'll be needing to banish as well. It's overall just a really nice CC, and again quite unique, because banishing demons, elementals, the things that other CCs they're immune to. So very good. And I put Seed of Corruption on here randomly just because it's so absolutely bonkers, ridiculous ability that does ridiculous damage. I just wanted you to know that. So, Ritual of Souls. Obviously being able to give everyone a health stone, which you can also use alongside a potion. This can literally save somebody from death. The hard part of these health stones is getting people to actually use them, because people are idiots, and you can it's extra healing that the healer doesn't need to do if everybody actually uses their health stone. Majority of people, and I'm saying majority, I'm tarring everyone with the same brush there, I probably shouldn't do that, but a lot of people will die on a boss fight with a health stone in their bag, which is wrong. If you're going to die, at least die after using the health stone. So then, you've got an excuse. You tried, you failed. But anyway, hey-ho, it's nice. Ritual of Summoning. So I think we spoke about summoning enough with the card trick at the start, which I do genuinely hope you enjoyed. Or if you just skipped it, never mind. You probably didn't miss a lot either way. But yeah, being able to summon is very unique. It's helpful. You can save time where people who are slacking. It may not encourage the right behaviour in other raiders, but still it's useful to have. Great Soulstone. So the ability to Soulstone someone and they can get back up is obviously very nice. So Soulstoning somebody, Soulstoning a druid who can combat res is very nice. So if the druid dies and then somebody else dies, or if you've got a healer that dies a lot, I don't know, or even putting it on a tank on certain fights, you've got a lot of options with Soulstone, but an amazing ability, great addition to any raid. Then a few pet abilities now. So Seduction by your succubus. You won't use the succubus probably too much, but it's there as an option. You've got, so now you can fear one, seduce one, maybe banish one. You're like a one-man CC machine. It's crazy, really. So yeah, again, worth a mention. Then you've got Devour Magic, which is what your Fell Hunter does. So you can purge one harmful effect from anybody. So you can essentially dispel somebody. Or you can purge a beneficial effect from an enemy. So where there's bosses that you need to dispel, this can be very useful. Just because you're probably going to have a shaman or a priest who can dispel a lot easier than you, where you haven't got to worry about using a Fell Hunter. But if you haven't, it's another tool in your arsenal, another gun in your arsenal, should we say. Then you've got Blood Pact as well, which is an obvious one. You use an imp, you give everyone loads more health. But again, these are all, look at the amount of stuff that a Warlock brings. It's just mental. So then moving on to more talent specific. So Curse of Exhaustion. This is an affliction only ability gained from talents. Useful for kiting fights if there's anywhere where you need to kite, but ultimately most affliction warlocks won't even take this in their spec. But again, it's something you can bring, the ability to kite using COE. So Not too bad. Then Shadow Embrace. Now, I think this one probably goes under the radar. So this is an Affliction talent as well. So your Corruption, Curse of Agony, Siphon Life, and Seed of Corruption spells also cause the Shadow Embrace effect, which reduces physical damage caused by 5%. That's really useful for the tank. You know, that's... and again, I think it's one of those that we don't even think about. You know, it's just one of the talents. You know, you just put 5 points into it and, yeah, forget about it, basically. But it's actually really, really useful to a raid. So, again, worth a mention. Malediction. So, this is where we get the extra 3% from Curse of Elements. So, literally, you put 3 points in a talent and you give everybody 3% spell damage. You do Arcane Fire, Frost, Shadow. I mean, that, you know, that's crazy. So then you've got Improved Shadow Bolt. So your Shadow Bolt critical strikes increase shadow damage dealt to the target by 20% until 4 non-periodic damage sources are applied. Posh way of saying not dots. So any, you know, direct damage that's dealt 20% more. Now imagine having 2 or 3 Warlocks in the group, you know, and you've all got 20-25% crit each. You're keeping this up probably more or less 100% of the time, because, you know, odds are, well, let's say you got 4 Warlocks, odds are one of the 4 of you on each cast may crit. Highly likely that 1 in 4 of you will crit. So now you're all getting 20% extra damage on every Shadow Bolt. I don't really need to say much else about that. It's sick. And the more Warlocks you've got, the more overpowered you are, because the more uptime on your, you know, the extra damage on the Shadow Bolt. But not just Warlocks, you're obviously then also buffing Shadow Priests. You know, their Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death hit like trucks. 20% more of a truck. You know, really, really nice. Overall, and that is it. You know, it wasn't overly long, wasn't made to be long. You're in a really, really good place. You bring lots to the raid. You're fun to play. You're great in PvP. Literally, there is no reason to not play a Warlock at the moment. You're going to want Warlocks. You're going to want to probably stack quite a few Warlocks in a raid. Because, as I say, the more of them you've got, the more damage they help each other do. They're high on single target. Their AoE is just bonkers with, what's it called? Seed of Corruption. So, yeah, you're laughing. Overall, are you wanted in raids? Absolutely, yes, 100%. And what you bring to raids is just, we've listed it all. You bring so much. You know, CC. I didn't even mention your survivability, because you do bring that to a raid. You know, it's useful that you're a bit tanky. You can self heal. You can death coil. You can, you know, life drain. All these things, but it really, your own self sustainability is on you. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to bloat out this video with loads of abilities like Soul Link, Siphon Life, things like that, where, all right, it's nice, you don't die very quick, but what do you bring to others? You know, how can you benefit a boss fight? So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you found any of it useful, could just be stuff that you'd forgot. You know, these abilities, you've probably not seen them, for some of them, for in this state for 15 years or something. So, you know, it might just be a nice little refresher for you. If you did like it, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe. Just mention the giveaway that's at the top up there. So we've already done the 1k giveaway. We're obviously, we're working our way slowly towards the 5k giveaway. But for you to try and bag some of those things that are on screen, you need to be a subscriber. That's it. Don't have to do anything else. So worth subbing if you're watching. And also on Twitch, if you come over on Twitch, I do a giveaway on Twitch every month as well. Scottejaye87. I'm streaming pretty much every night. As soon as this video is done and on, I'll be streaming tonight. So yeah, until the next one, which the next one's going to be Mage. So yeah, take it easy.